to EmergentX and the panel today talking about blockchain gaming in 2022 and beyond. I think when I look at blockchain and gaming, I'm thinking about my radical neon punk skin that a user in my favorite game developed and I purchased. So we're looking at the opportunities for user-generated content, for greater engagement with gamers. For today's panel, I'm going to turn over to Esme Pao, the leader of EmergentX, to introduce our panel, and we look forward to learning more about blockchain gaming in 2022 and beyond. Esme, over to you.
Right, thanks very much, Walter. Good afternoon and welcome everybody to our last panel of the day, Blockchain Gaming in 2022 and Beyond. My name is Esme Pao. I'm an insight contributor for EmergentX, and I'm your moderator for today. With us today are Chow, Director of Digital Strategy and Partnerships, Animoca Brands, Yolo Zhang, Director, Huobi Incubator, Alexander Kent, Principal, TBS Capital, Noel Chan, Associate Director, Drive Catalyst. So welcome to our last and very fascinating panel of the day. So without further ado, we're going to discuss blockchain gaming for the remaining 50 minutes of our time together. And first of all, I'll give a few moments for each panelist to introduce themselves. So let's start with Sav, and we'll go around the virtual table and move on to Yolo, Alex, and Noel. So let's start with Sav.
Hello, everyone. This is Seth here. I'm the Director of Digital Strategies and Partnerships in Animoca Brands. Currently, I'm driving the play-to-earn space. So I'm looking to investment in guilds and play-to-earn games and try to bring synergy between them. And also, I take lead in like mass adoption in NFT and metaverse in general, in verticals like music, like entertainment, movies, comics, and maybe fashion as well. So really nice to meet you all here today, and thank you very much for having me.
Right, thanks, Sav. And over to you, Yolo.
Oh, hi, this is Yolo Zhang from Huobi Incubator, and now I'm the Director of the post-investment and the incubation. My responsibility is to fund the good and high potential projects and invest them, and also provide their incubation for them. And now we have created a grant funding platform. We call it Web3 Scholarship Grant Program, and in conjunction with the world's top universities and the industry platforms to fund their high potential projects. Yeah.
We're keen to hear more about it in our panel. So, and Alex?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. I run principal investments for TPS Capital, which is the OTC arm of Three Arrows Capital, normally based in Hong Kong, but we have a global mandate. So we invest across Web3, so blockchain gaming, metaverse, NFTs, as well as DeFi scaling solutions and infrastructure. So we kicked off the portfolio about 4 months ago, so scaling very rapidly.
Right, that's great. And last but not least, Noel.
Hi guys, this is Noel. So I'm currently the Associate Director of Drive Catalyst. So Drive Catalyst is a deep tech VC firm based in Taipei. We are backed by one of the biggest conglomerate in Taiwan, it's called Far Eastern Group. So my responsibility is mainly focusing on deep tech investment, including AI, robotics, and recent interests in Web3, like not just the gaming space, including like other protocols, DeFi, GameFi, SocialFi.
Right, thanks, Noel. So we're very excited today have a stunning lineup of panelists with Alex and also Noel representing investors and also speaking on behalf of builders, and also Yolo and Sav being part of the ecosystem and also an important stakeholder. So without further ado, I'll go on and kickstart the conversation. The first part of the conversation will be about teasing out the high-level trends and the macro themes that we should all be thinking about for blockchain games. And then in the second half of our time today, we're going to dive into pockets of opportunity specifically. And finally, we'll go on to the audience Q&A. I'll invite panelists to ask each other questions and also open up the chat for audience to type in the questions that they have for our panelists. So first of all, I'd like to invite every one of you to talk about something that you're proud to have achieved in blockchain game, whether it's your firm, yourself, or whether it's the entire ecosystem, and how you are positioning for the next 1 to 2 years. Let's start off with Seth.
Sure. So I think the term play to earn was really popular last year, since May, I think. And then the game Axie Infinity was really popular in Southeast Asia. We're an early investor in Axie Infinity, and then we see like really funny models, Guild being emerged from the play to earn space, and we're actively supporting the space. We can see that the trend is changing from maybe some simple games like Axie Infinity to some more traditional gamer would like for example, AAA standard game. Because I think at the end, a game is all about how fun to play, and people play game for maybe to escape reality and basically just to have fun, right? So I think this element should be coming in stronger and stronger in the future games. And we are developing a lot of games, as you can see here. We have a lot of AAA game standard coming up, and one thing you should notice is Phantom Galaxies. If you've never heard of it, I suggest you to have a look, and it's pretty amazing, the graphic and the gameplay and everything. And I think the trend would be become more and more high quality games there. And of course, we're looking into balance tokenomics. So yeah, I think is really good time to look into play to earn space, or even like talk about play and earn instead of just play to earn.
Great, thanks, Seth. So you've touched on many of the themes that are highly interesting for all of our audience here. And next, I'd like to turn to Yolo. So Yolo, what will be your thoughts with regards to how we should all position in the next 1 to 2 years? Right, perhaps let's just turn to Alex.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I think we've lost Yolo. Yeah, no, I think you know, I'd echo the same comments as Zaf. Definitely, we're seeing an upgrade in the space as people are from traditional gaming are actually getting involved and entering the blockchain space in a significant way, raising the bar in terms of quality of graphics, gameplay, and that's what really matters to traditional gamers. I think it's important to remember that traditional gamers are actually quite suspicious of blockchain gaming and NFTs, right? They view a lot of it as a cash grab, and blockchain can be viewed also as sacrificing performance in favor of decentralization and security. So I think what I'll really be looking out for in the next few months are the groups that are able to earn the trust of the traditional gamers from developed markets and really bring them into the space in a big way. That's going to be very, very exciting to see, because that's where the economics start to make sense. And we'll get into that a bit more, I think, in terms of how the revenue models for a lot of these games are going to be shifting from, you could kind of call it, you know, sort of self-fulfilling, sort of retail driven to content driven, participation, experiential. That I think is going to create a lot more value in blockchain gaming.
Right, Alex, I would like you to hold that thought. That's a highly interesting thought with regards to the shift in revenue models. And then I would then turn to Yolo. So Yolo, we were just recapping on the value, the transition, and also the intersection between traditional gaming and also blockchain games. So would you have anything to add with regards to the next 1 to 2 year trend in this space?
Okay, yeah. Other guests has some suggestions about their next generation of GameFi, and I also want to add some because you know we cannot deny that due to their network problems and mechanism problem and other reasons, the current GameFi landscape is relatively simple and rough. Yeah, and it mainly adopts the play to earn method to attract the users. And in their practice, their screen is very rough, and many games collapse in a very few days because of the unreasonable setting of the token mechanism. So I hope that in the next 2 years, the financial, the FI attribute will be returned, but may be weakened, and it will be related to NFT, social, and DID, and so on, deeper integration. And also their competitive, social, and skill-based games are easier to integrate with blockchain. Yeah, and also their traditional games top players can enter the chain game and blockchain game, and they can also make money from skills. Yeah, while having fun. Yeah, this is to say the end of the script error and the 3A of the game's masterpieces. And the playability of the game will increase, and the focus will shift to the game instead of the pure financial or pure FI attribute. And also at the same time, I think most present blockchain games requires players to own NFTs. Yeah, which imposes an initial capital burden on players, just like buying a console. Well, this mode is still the most popular today, but I think there may be more blockchain games trying be free to play mode in the future. Yes.
Right, that summarizes it very well. And Noel, will you have anything to add with reference to our panel's
I kind of like
comments?
agree with yes, I kind of agree with what Alex just mentioned. We are seeing, I think, similar things happening, I think, in the space, like the crypto gamers are demanding a more kind of like complexity, so sophisticated kind of like games to come out. And also we are also, I think, seeing a shift, or actually, I think, a more complicated kind of like revenue model. So we've actually recently invested in a VR-based MMORPG crypto startup. So they're building a VR kind of like MMORPG, but at the same time, they're adding the retail commerce elements into the metaverse. So they're partnering with some of the consumer brands and helping them to set up their virtual kind of like store in the metaverse. So it's not just a pure kind of like games, but plus a lot more kind of like commercial elements. So which kind of like increase their revenue, improve their revenue kind of like productivities, and at the same time, think offering enjoyment like to the participants. And in terms of like what we're seeing in the next 12, 20 months, we've been speaking to a few regulators, like both like domestically or in the overseas market, especially in the US. So we're expecting some regulation change to happen, like expecting, I think, more regulations to regulate the NFT space, especially. That might actually, I think, would have some impact on the investment landscape, like particularly focus on the NFTs.
I know I'm glad you mentioned the key theme, another key theme in digital assets, and that's regulation. So in terms of what is happening with the entire space, I'm talking more on the macro perspective. What do you think would be the key theme? Would it be regulations or something else?
Well, I think in terms of the theme, like just like investment themes, right? Yeah, I think a change of the business models, like increasing the complexity, it's probably, I think, would be the trend of the gaming. So regulation, I think, is another stuff that, like I'm sure, like Gary Gensler in the US, he is like probably is coming after the NFT space, and like he was the blockchain class kind of like professors, like when I was studying at MIT, and he's like very pro regulations. So I'm sure, I think that he's like working on some like grand plans like to regulate the NFT, because like he treat like those cryptocurrency, including NFT as securities, and he wants more protection for investors. So that's kind of like we're sure that would come in the next like 12 months in terms of like more regulations.
Right. And no, let's just stay with you for the next question. So from an investor perspective, how is you seeing the changes in fund flow and also opportunities given the huge overlay of the themes that we talked about? With the shift in revenue models and also regulations, do you expect any shift in fund flows?
Well, yes. Well, I think well, some of the like crypto funds that we partner with, what we are currently doing, honestly, we both think like the gaming startups, the investment in gaming startup is a bit overcrowded. We are now actually seeing more capital to support the infrastructure and the ecosystem around the games. We are seeing, I think, the gamers, like the growth kind of like in blockchain games like slowing down. I think one of the key reasons is like we don't have a strong kind of like infrastructure to support the growth, and also I think the ecosystem still lack of other kind of like ecosystem partners like to support the growth. For example, like DeFi, like we still haven't seen any like significant protocols that support this intersection between NFT and DeFi space. If like, for example, we were thinking, we've seen, I think, some startup building some DeFi protocols like on top of the NFTs that probably I think could help the adoptions of the NFT. And I think the border kind of like, including the border kind of like gaming, blockchain game kind of like space. So we're seeing more capital, I think, flowing to the infrastructure and ecosystem play rather than just like focusing on like the games.
Right, thanks. And Alex, do you have anything to add to that in terms of funds flow that you're noticing? And also, what are the future pockets of opportunity? Would that be infrastructure or something else?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting what Noel just brought up. Because you have these digital economies being built and digital labor forces coming from guilds, you really need kind of a native financial infrastructure, and that's being built in the metaverse and in gaming natively. So maybe a new buzzword to think of is NFT-fi. And you need to be a play-to-earn gamer. You need NFTs for the specific game, and so you have now. I'm seeing more and more protocols where people are offering financing to purchase these, offering borrowing, lending, and also marketplaces to link, play-to-earn gamers together with investors, together with guilds. So we're seeing this, really like this nascent ecosystem of finance that's happening, and people are building the tooling. That's what's so exciting. That's native to the space. And another interesting trend, and depending on the VC that you talk to, this may be a good or a bad thing, but guilds themselves, and just for the people who don't know what a guild is, but a guild is effectively a company or an association that manages play-to-earn gamers and provides them with the training and the NFTs and the tooling to actually generate their revenue, and they have a revenue share. We're seeing now guilds actually becoming kind of proto VCs, where they're close to the whole GameFi economy. They're seeing the new games that are up and coming, and they have a vested interest in these games performing well. And so they're taking revenue share, they're getting discounts on NFTs, and they're getting involved as investors. So that's been a very interesting trend. And I hear some VCs griping around, hey, I invested in a guild for them to do play to earn, and now they're investing in games too. Where's our value add? But I think it's just a sign of a very I think dynamic ecosystem.
Right. And that's very interesting to keep track of. And Saf, given that you're very close to the ecosystem, and you also mentioned Guild when you first gave your intro. So how do you think the entire ecosystem in terms of builders and guilds panning out? And how do you think having the AAA publishers going into blockchain games and NFT, how is that going to disrupt the existing crypto native blockchain ecosystem?
Yeah, for the first part, I think with the tools development, like lending tools that Alex just mentioned, and like some financing tool we're seeing in the market, like buy now, pay later for some gaming assets, I think those are really important tools to exist for people to, how do I say, lower the entry barrier for people. And also we're seeing some like game native wallet that people don't really necessarily know that they're opening a crypto wallet. Like they don't have to get a pencil and then write down like all those 24 seed phase opening a MetaMask. Maybe they can just open like a custodian wallet or cross-chain wallet that we're seeing to connect to the game first. And then I think Yolo mentioned earlier about like free to earn. free to play to earn. Actually, we're looking into something like that as well. Like for the AAA standard game, I mean, is higher standard, more fun, and also we adopt a really interesting strategy to acquire users. So we do have like a site to just for people connecting their wallet, and then they don't have to buy anything to start the game. They just have to connect the wallet. Like they just have to open the wallet and connect to our site, and then we will give them some free drop. And the drop of the NFT can actually unlock some chapters in our game. And by completing some quests and some mission inside the game using the first NFT, you can unlock more NFT. So we can actually ensure the genuine audience of the NFT receiver. Like those are actually gamer, not the investor or speculator. So I think this is a really interesting strategy that we're looking into. And sorry, Liz, your second question was?
The second question is with regards to AAA publishers coming in. Are they going to make any changes to the existing rules of blockchain games? Or are we expecting a disruption that's ahead of us?
Well, I think there's no like perfect formula for play to earn or play and earn games right now. We're just trying to figure out what's the right balance of tokenomics, and a lot of games are trying out there. So I think what the AAA standard game can bring into the space is that the quality of all those play to earn games existing should increase the quality, because after the success of Axie Infinity, we actually saw a lot of copycats or some really not even, you can't even call them a game. Like they're just like idle, and you just have to buy NFT and then expect some kind of like yield, just like farming. So having the real player or traditional AAA standard games coming into space is really good, just like by raising the bar. So the gamer actually have some fun experience that they can enjoy and earn at the same time. And no matter is a really cryptocurrency that you earn just like Axie Infinity SLP, or if it's just like earning NFT to unlock another chapter. And I think that kind of model would shape the industry better and create much better ecosystem for people to come in. So they won't just claim that it's like Ponzi scheme, whoever come in the last will pay the bills, some kind of thing. We heard that a lot. So I think back to the basic, game is something should be really fun and enjoyable, and having them into the space would really shape the industry better.
Right, that's fantastic insight, and it's great if the whole industry could just shift the conversation from play to earn and to enjoy when we really do play games. And Yolo, and on to you, as we understand that you work with a lot of different very early stage blockchain projects. So what do you think would be the formula to success of a blockchain game project?
Okay. Yeah, let me share some of the fundamental qualities of a project that valued by Huobi Incubator. So first is excellent founding team, yeah, which is very basic but very important, and then a good token model, and the third one but not least is the gaming design mechanism which maximize player interaction, yeah, the playability, whether it is institutional investors or game users or retail investors, they should all be focusing on the qualities mentioned above. Yeah.
Right, sure. And you also mentioned one thing about tokenomics. So what would you look out for in terms of the tokenomics design of blockchain games specifically?
I think about the tokenomics design. Yeah, I said that it's very important, and also the production and the consumption of the token is an extremely important issue in the game token system. Yeah. So first of all, I think there is there need to be enough money making effect to motivate the users. The money making effect can be for all users or just some users, but it's necessary to ensure that there is a money-making effect at each stage as much as possible, and try to prolong their project life cycle. Yeah, and their early users have a certain bonus period, then they have their energy and power to promote their game for you. Yeah, and at the same time, it is necessary to prevent their excessive output from causing a sharp and continuous decline in the price ratio. Yeah, correspondingly, we need to first like control their output and consumption, and then control their output of the initial token, and the third one, that's the part of the output that the user mines and reserves some tokens for in regular adjustment. Yeah, and I also think the consumption and reduction of the circulation in the project itself is an extremely important part of all token designs. Yeah, we can see in the in some GameFi that excellent token models have done enough in consumption, like creating more usage scenarios and a reasonable lockup mechanism, and unwinding mechanism, and the project party destruction and recycling, extension of token collection mechanism, and also creation of honor system, and so on. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's great to hear. And I'm sure we could have another panel just to discuss tokenomics design.
Okay.
Right. And then for Alex, given that you look at so many different aspects as a VC into different pockets of digital assets, so what are the different metrics that you look for in a GameFi project as opposed to other categories? And again, are we posing the same question that I asked Yolo to you regarding the success metrics?
Yeah, no, it's I really like to build on what Yolo is saying, but sometimes I ask project teams, just to shock them a bit. I'm like, why do you have a token? Do you need a token? And kind of put them on the spot, because there needs to be a strong use case. Why are people going to buy it? Why are people going to hold it? And then why are they going to continue to use it? Why is this the essential lifeblood of your ecosystem? People have to have a very convincing answer. And what I've seen that really is a determinant for success is real transactions, real usage, things to do kind of on their platform or in their game, in their metaverse. We're investing in a project now, which is GameFi. And so that's the front end, right? That's the user acquisition. But what their sort of long-term plan is to create an ecosystem of different businesses within their metaverse, which is starting to be loosely based on the game, but then will sort of scale to be more about experiences, group hangouts, whether it's performances, whether it's live streaming. And then suddenly you have a very vibrant and diverse way that people are creating value, sharing, building relationships. And then, oh, by the way, here's the token to do it. Then it's kind of a natural, it's a natural value add. So I think that we look for, the long term in terms of what the token is going to be used for, and community. Having a sustainable and real community. We get involved by looking into the Discord chats, to the Twitter, Twitter pages, into Telegram, and just seeing what the community is saying. Is there real engagement? Are people excited about the game? Excited, about the culture that's being built? Or are they just there, actually just waiting for a token so they can sort of pump it and dump it? That is the sort of, I think, one of the important indicators that we look at.
Right, that's great insight. And Noel, over to you. So you were once in traditional finance and then you moved on to the earlier stage. So how will you compare the traditional methodology of analyzing secondary investments compared to what you're looking at, which is a lot more abstract?
Yes, well, interesting. I think I can share, I think, some of the other perspective. Like our fund just talked to the head of Metaverse at Meta, so Facebook. So the guy told us, we asked them whether they would be interested to enter into the crypto space, leverage the crypto as the kind of Metaverse currencies, and they're not very keen. they're not very keen. I think, and the reason why is like if they mentioned about like if you look at the existing like gaming giants, like say Epic Games, they are very comfortable with their existing kind of like infrastructure. They, I think Alex mentioned a good point, like whether they actually need a tokens, right, for games. They don't actually need blockchain technology in order to maintain their existing like community. They can still generate like billions of income from selling their skins, but not on the blockchain. So there's no kind of like incentive currently, I think, to lure those like big players like into the space. So I think good and bad, like good as like if they really enter the space, that might, I think, increase the adoption, or because like more kind of like traditional gamers, they might move to the crypto space and start to earn the cryptos, I think, from their games. And back is like if they really enter, that might create a lot of pressure for the existing crypto and game developer, including like Sandbox, Decentraland, emerging like Facebook. They create their own metaverse and create their own cryptocurrency. That would be a big pressure to the existing kind of players. So when we account now evaluating the early stage investments, we would take into the consideration of the potential and competitions, not just I think from the crypto space, but also I think from the traditional kind of like existing I think big giants like game giants.
Right, and if you were suggesting someone from a traditional industry to just step in to GameFi, so how would you suggest their entry points? That's for all of the audience.
Install Discord first, and then try to participate in the community events. Because I think like GameFi, crypto, especially I think metaverse like NFT, they're very, very community driven. Like currently, I think it's all I think related to the revenue models. Like I believe this is still the early stage of developments. Most of the value created is like from network effects, like sales fulfillment. But at the later stage, we need more kind of like intersection with the real economy that bring in more value, I think, to the community, not just like people enjoying the culture. It's like they really, I think, getting monetary returns like from either like having like selling their space like for advertisements like to the like consumer brands, generating like real income to the space, and then redistribute those value to the community member in order to become a, I would say, successful and sustainable project over the long term.
Right, that's great to hear. And so far, we've been focusing on the project level. So I just want to shift gears and zoom out a little bit and look at the macro level. So in terms of community stuff, from the conversations that you're having with multiple stakeholders, what are the key narratives that you're seeing? And in order, so we have a great half year behind us, in order for us to go up to the next level, what do you think should be introduced for blockchain games? We've touched on it briefly from everybody, but I'd like you to go into more granularity.
Yeah, I think I would like to get add something on what Noel just mentioned. So I think the first part is not about making money to us, because like we would just want to build the whole ecosystem and we want the traditional gamer to come in. So when we design the game or the NFT strategy around the game or metaverse, we're not making money is the first place. And of course, we want to incentivize people who join the community to benefit from it, but in the long run, not in the short term. We're not encouraging flipper or people just join and then not really playing the game. That's why we had that strategy that we do on Phantom Galaxies. So some numbers for you to reference, like we do free drop to Phantom Galaxy people who connect the wallet, and then it's for free, but the trading volume on the secondary market is actually pretty big. And I think for other games to reference, maybe is a really good model to not just looking about selling NFT, and then people would be really like in the urge to have break even, trying to calculate how much they can earn a day, and then how long is the break-even time and something like that. But maybe we just focus more on how to let the gamer enjoy the gaming quality and the gameplay. And also, I think it would be more natural to do that, because the people who stay or actually go into the later chapter, as I mentioned earlier before, you have to unlock one chapter, get the NFT, and then you can go into the next chapter. So it's free to go in, but the true or the people who really stay behind in the ecosystem are the true gamer. So I think we can look into aspect like this in more creative way to create a community and make use of all those genuine interaction of the community instead of just trying to build a game that is like really trying to get the first cash of selling NFT and stuff. And also for token usage, I think a lot of games out there that are trying to do dual currency, just like Axie, because it's the most successful play to earn game out there, and they're trying to do this without much thinking. And sometimes you don't really need two currency, maybe you just need one. So I think like depends on the game nature. You do have to think about like all those tokenomics and the rationale behind, not for the sake of doing that. So I think from our side, we have a strong tokenomics team. We think about the way of doing more balanced tokenomics inside the game. Like in Phantom Galaxies, we don't really do token sell. We do it like just planet sell, and you need people to work for your planet. So we favor the guild model and to attract more people onto the game, like real player to play the game. And then you can unlock some tokens from the planet quest or planet mission. So I think this is an interesting and innovative way to do things. And I think for other games to reference, I'm not saying this is like a winning strategy, but to engage more genuine action and gamers would be what we're targeting. And I think the trend should go that way.
Right, and can you share with us some of the conversations that you're having with your ecosystem? For example, since you're running strategic partnerships, what are the key concerns and also the opportunities that your partners are coming to you for?
Well, I mean, I take care of strategic partnership in different like verticals, not only in gaming. So like a lot of brands like fashion brands or music labels come to us, want to do something fun together. And I would often suggest some gamification, no matter it's just about the NFT collection and or if we're building the metaverse, we can have some like gaming element inside. So echoing one of the guests mentioned earlier, I think in the future, the gaming blockchain gaming space is not just about playing the game itself. Maybe it's about bringing the artist, the idol inside the game, and people can actually enjoy music while playing the game, like something like that. So a lot of partners come to us looking for the way that they can go into Web3, but not only by launching NFT. They want some more immersive experience, and we often suggest them we should make use of their existing community and think of how to bridge the Web2 community into Web3 and bring them the genuine interaction and natural interaction for the audience, but not like trying to add on something that they don't really understand at this moment.
Absolutely. I think we're beginning to see that. And for Yolo, in terms of the different projects that you work with, what are the interesting conversations that you're having? And usually in terms of incubating the projects, what do they come to you for help primarily?
Primarily, actually, because we are exchange. So, and our service is for its integration with their investment and incubation. So a lot of projects come to us with a very initial stage, maybe seed round or pre-seed round. They are more focused on the first one is a token design, and the third one is listing on the exchange. I have to be honest. Yeah, and also because we are exchange and we can gain a lot of resources of the different public chain and different investment funds, so we can play a role to introduce some multi-chain resources to them and help them to deploy it on that. Yeah. And also the first is about the investment fund. The project come to us and want to ask for strong background, and then not only chase the fund from the Huobi, but also they want Huobi to connect lots of their investment connections for them. So yeah, it's a complicated support for our project. Yeah.
Well, that's a good problem to have because you're having many opportunities. So Alex, for the next one, it's for you. So just thinking a bit more broadly here, what are you seeing as the intersections of GameFi and DeFi, and what are the major trends going forward?
Oh yeah, I think this is sort of like what we touched on earlier, right? I mean, we're basically having an entire new financial infrastructure built in GameFi, right? It's funny because I talked to a lot of my friends from TradFi as well, who've been in this in TradFi for 20 years, and a lot of them are quite frustrated because they're like, no, this stuff has already been done, and it's just being created from scratch, but it's being created natively in digital economies. So it's tooled, it's optimized for NFTs, for digital natives, and for these environments. So whether it's GameFi, whether play to earn, whether it's financing, borrowing, and lending, and I think what we're seeing is this is a tool for financial empowerment and financial inclusion for underserved and underbanked. And so one of the key theses for my portfolio is that especially the developing world will, in the same way that the developing world skipped over landlines and went straight into mobile phones, now for Web3, these populations will skip over traditional finance and go from being unbanked going straight into DeFi, because it is the financial infrastructure that's native to mobile. It's native to sort of the rising generations as well, and it's tremendously empowering and accessible. So that all ties into, I think, kind of the new revenue streams, the new populations that are getting involved in GameFi, which will, via GameFi suddenly have, you have a wallet that's basically a bank account, and then once you have that bank account that's borderless, that's very, very composable, malleable, then you can expand to a lot of other financial services. So that's that I think is the intersection of GameFi and DeFi. It's onboarding people.
Right. And I suppose that's better UX as well. So now we're on to the final 10 minutes of our time together. And I think I've done enough talking. So I'd like to invite the panelists to ask each other questions at the same time. So we have some questions coming through chat. So let's just pause the time for Alex to ask Saf a question, a burning question that you have.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, so Zaf, everyone views Animoca as a market leader, and you guys are investing across the ecosystem, whether it's metaverse, NFT, GameFi, and especially in your position as head of partnerships. I'm really interested to know how you create synergies among each of those investment portcos, right? How do you make sure they don't cannibalize each other and rather work together and create more value?
Thank you very much for the questions. This is a really good question because we have more than 150 companies in the portfolio right now, and I mean we're actively investing in the space, but we're not the VC. We're trying to bring in token support or ecosystem support. So bringing in the synergy or collaboration to them is one of our mission, and where our value will come from. So it's very important for us to see what's the difference between them, and we try to bring in different kind of interoperability, because when we talk about NFT or metaverse in general, I think the two things that are very, very important are community and utility. So utility side, we can contribute on interoperability across different metaverse, because a lot of partners come to us nowadays, they don't really want to just have their own metaverse. They don't want to be just exist on Sandbox. I mean, Sandbox would be a really good entry point for them, but then they would like to exist in different space and have interoperability. So I think our position is to bring as much of synergy as possible and help them to bridge the cross-chain, cross-platform interoperability would be something that is what we challenge to do.
Right, and Saf, let's stay with you. So we have one question from the audience. So what is your and Animoca's view on allowing players to rent out their NFTs or use NFTs as collateral in order to farm crypto?
Well, I mean, to farm crypto, do you mean like playing, or do you mean DeFi?
I should say that's DeFi.
Yeah, because I see that the question is about renting out the
Yes.
NFT, right? And I think renting out the NFT means maybe for scholars to play that, or for guilds to play that. And I think this is one of the part of the ecosystem. And I think having the asset lent to the scholar is the fundamental of what a guild really was. And the why we have this model comes up, or why do we have to lend the NFT out in the first place, because those NFT is maybe hard to get, or is it maybe expensive for the scholars to go in. So I think this is one fundamental piece for gamers right now. But I think in the future it may change a little bit because of the maybe free to play to earn model. Like some of our games, like apart from Phantom Galaxy that I just mentioned, we have Ref Racing, motorsports game, and is actually a free to play to earn model as well. Like you just have to join some social function, and then you can get a free car, and then you can earn to play the game, and then you can earn some NFT as a car, or you can earn the token. So I think not necessarily every game needs that model of lending out the NFT to other people to play. We're seeing this model coming through because like Axie Infinity set the example of really hard to have the money to get a team of 3 Axies to start the game, so the guild come out. And yeah, I think the model is still shifting, and it may change in the future.
Right, that's great. And Saf, another question for you. So you mentioned that you don't always need a second layer token. How will you incorporate crypto into the game but lessen the volatility in revenue and earnings of the game?
Well, not second layer of token. I mean, maybe just one token isn't enough. And then what exactly is the question, right?
Right, so that's in chat. How would you incorporate crypto into the game but lessen the volatility and revenue and earnings of the game?
Well, I think cryptocurrency is just like one means of determining how much you can earn from the game. So I think to like maybe lower the volatility is that maybe they don't earn token, maybe they earn the NFT, and the NFT would unlock another chapter, which will unlock possibility for them to earn more, maybe in cryptocurrency and maybe in another form of NFT. So I think it's about how the token balance work inside a particular game, and also I mean, maybe the NFT would have some interoperability into other metaverse. So like, for example, in Phantom Galaxy, if you earn the hoverboard, maybe the hoverboard is not just staying in Phantom Galaxy. It gives you an like entry pass to somewhere else. So I think the model right now is quite linear. People can just like go to the game and earn token and buy some more and then earn more, some linear network there. But I think it should be having multiple layers, so the NFT can do much more than just inside the game or just to earn more token. Like the loop can be bigger, and I think it can unlock more opportunities and experience inside or outside the game.
All right, sure, thanks. And Saf, it's your turn to put Yolo on the spot.
So I think the one thing I want to ask Yolo is that what is the Huobi's investment strategy in the NFT or GameFi space? And are you looking into specific just the gaming side of it, or are you looking for tools, or what is the strategy in general?
Okay, thanks, Steph. As we all know, the 2021 can be said to be their first year of NFT, and it is even more gratifying to know that in addition to their traditional art NFT in the past, some new directions such as economy, asset securitization products, and NFT-Fi, and so on, have also sprouted without thinking that NFT is the next booming track after DeFi, which is worth a long-term layout. So as Huobi is a exchanges, and we from this perspective, we will continue to support NFT projects both on the asset side and on the investment incubation side, especially some general NFT tools and infrastructure, innovative application scenarios, and so on. And as for GameFi, we talk a lot about the gaming. Actually, it has always been very controversial, but in fact, we should look beyond the game. Actually can live probably not only because of how good its games are, but the economic model and business model behind it makes the value circle of game, from centralization to the democracy, from control to independence. So from this perspective, the coin of GameFi shows game, and the reverse side is DeFi, but the real core is still Web3 and the matter universe and the decentralized spirit. So in terms of investment in and the incubation, although we still hold a cautiously bullish attitude towards the track, we focus on the factors behind their team's continued productivity, contribution to their industry, and change in their production paradigm, and do things that are value in the long run rather than things that makes money in a very short term. Yeah.
Right. So we should all focus on long-term sustainability of projects. And if I may, so talk about token use cases. Hey, Alex, so you mentioned about token use cases. So what do you think is the possibility of applying tokenomics concept to traditional loyalty companies, for example, credit card loyalty programs, where the supply is currently unlimited?
I actually saw this question in the chat. This is a great question. I think everyone, especially in Hong Kong, is looking at all their Asia Miles points just racking up over these past 2 years, being like, what am I going to do with all these? I think from a user experience, it would be great to be able to sort of take your loyalty points and, I mean, trade them around, send them to your friends. Right now it's pretty illiquid. And so, from a just pure user experience, I think it could be fun and exciting for like the first 15 minutes. And then you would realize that if you really unleash market forces onto, these loyalty points, what will happen is that there's an unlimited supply. So the value and the usability will start to crash, right? As different sort of, loyalty providers or loyalty program participants start issuing more and more points, more and more tokens. So the value could drop massively. And so that kind of undermines the whole concept of a loyalty point, which is really about creating a good user experience. If everyone feels like they've gotten rug pulled, we say, they had all these tokens and they were worth a certain amount, and now because they're being printed, they've lost all this value, then you end up having a negative feedback from your community, from your users. So probably good at first, but then maybe long term, unless the basic mechanism changes, it probably isn't sustainable.
Right, that's great. And another question coming from chat, Saf, about your earliest point on interoperability. So between games and metaverse, how likely do you think different gaming communities will welcome the idea, as it may be a risk of diluting the true loyal fan to one particular game?
Well, thank you for the question. I think it's a very good question. That's in the Web3 space. What we're seeing right now is a lot of merging communities, and I think the project owner in Web3 are pretty much into the idea of collaboration with other game or metaverse. And I think this is the really important point for Web3 projects, because they understand that like only living in your zone, like a centralized platform, it doesn't really make sense to the Web3 audience, and having interoperability is basically essential. So is the idea, I mean, the idea of interoperability is being welcomed by, I think, most of the communities or projects out there. And I think the people who actually, I mean, talk about, like, for example, if we talk about, I'm not sure if it's a good example, but like Meta, like the Facebook metaverse that they claim, with people don't really own any like true ownership of the digital assets, you can't really talk about interoperability. Then everything would just live on the platform of Meta, and you don't actually own anything if you can't really freely transferable or take it somewhere else. And I mean, utilizing the concept of having total rights over your digital asset is something maybe not so familiar with Facebook's what Facebook are doing always. So I think in the Web3 space, people are understanding like the fundamental value of like Web3 project is the decentralization, and interoperability seems to be something like really important to the communities.
Right, that's great. And we do have 2 more minutes. So Noel, I'm going to throw this question to you. I know that you've looked at finance research, and then this is right now you're in early stage investing. So the question in the chat is, in terms of the play to earn games, so they've embedded complex concepts with DEX, yield farming, etc., which could be seen as investment platforms. So how will the financial regulators regulate or impose regulations on GameFi platforms going forward? So that will require you to put on your thinking hat as an early stage investor and also previous experience from finance.
I think at the end of the like we have to have the definitions of like what's viewed as a security, right? So and also I think whether like the project itself it's legit or not, like because I think I kind of like remember back in 2017, like during the ICO kind of like hype, a lot of like new kind of like crypto projects come out, and most of them actually are scam, right? That actually created a lot of like losses like for the investors. So that's why the regulators came in. So I'm seeing a similar kind of like phenomenon now, like in the gaming space. A lot of the new NFT projects came out, but they failed to deliver. So they kind of like overpromised, they failed to deliver, and also I think so that's why a lot of like investors kind of like suffer. That is to trigger the regulators like to step in. So I think my point is like first of all, I think we have to understand a clear kind of like definition of like what's treated as a security. So whether the NFT as a funding vehicle, we should treat it as a security, and really I think come down to what kind of like utilities that the NFT can actually offer. If they are like they're offering like a consistent cryptocurrency or tokens as a dividend, that might fall into the regulation kind of like frameworks under the kind of like regulators. They might treat it as a security. So I believe, I think the fundraising kind of like the way that we are doing the fundraising in NFT might be affected, and the regulator might impose some policy to restrict the project's kind of like team to apply some security-like tokenomics into their NFT. Like for example, what I just mentioned, like if they offer like free tokens on it, on the NFT, that might treat it as a security, it's like by the regulator.
Right, sure, that's great. So that concludes our time together. Thank you, expert panelists, for sharing your ideas. And if our audience have any further questions, please feel free to connect direct with our panelists. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. And right now, so before you go off, we have a closing remarks by Syed Mushir about blockchain and green finance. So please feel free to join the closing remarks section. And with that, I would bring this to a close and thank you everybody for your time. Right, thank you, panelists.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Bye.
Bye-bye.